This conference will now be recorded. This conference will now be recorded.
I'm not sure if people are talking, but there's no sound coming through remotely.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there's nothing like turning your mic. It always works. Thanks.
Okay.
Round two.
Oh, do that again. Excuse me. Okay. I would like to call this meeting to order. It is 9:02 a.m. on Monday, July 20th, 2026. This is a hybrid format meeting of the Oregon Board of Massage Therapists. Welcome to those joining in person at the Hampton Inn Suites in Salem, and to everyone attending remotely. Members of the public, please keep your camera and microphones turned off, except when called upon to speak during the introductions and public comment periods. Those joining via GoToMeeting, please include your name and license number when signing in. Non-LMTs, please include the organization you represent. As a matter of housekeeping, the recording system is very sensitive, so please avoid side conversations, talking over one another, and noisy disruptions. We'll go ahead and start with introductions, starting with board members, then staff, and lastly, members of the public. Please state your name, title or license number, and the city you are from. I'm Beckett Rowan, board chair and LMT member, and I'm from Crestwell.
Maria Odell, Vice Chair, Public Member from Lebanon.
Dan Patajik, LMT Board Member 26808 from Sandy, Oregon.
Carol Gray, LMT Board Member. I'm in Portland.
Melissa Fulfer, LMT, Baker City, Oregon.
Scott English, Public Board Member, Dallas, Oregon.
Doug Giles, Public Health Member, Salem, Oregon.
I'm Bob Ruark. I'm the Executive Director for the board.
Mitch Breedlove, Compliance Specialist for the board.
Kaitura Sunita Haruna, Policy Analyst for the board.
Joanna Tucker Davis, Assistant Attorney General.
Thank you. Moving on to members of the public. I can't see if we have any.
Do you want me to call on?
Yes.
Kevin Douglas.
Hi, I'm Kevin Douglas with FSM TV.
Ann.
Ann Nutwell, Oregon Massage Therapist, license number 22093 from Portland, Oregon.
Elise. How about Laura?
Hey, Laura Pereira, Director of Government Relations for ABMP.
And Elise, are you there?
Yes, sorry, Elise Bain, Government Relations with FSM TV.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Okay, moving on to today's agenda, are there any changes or corrections that need to be made at this time? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The agenda is approved. Okay, is there any discussion regarding the minutes from May 18th, 2026? Hearing no discussion, can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
I move to approve the minutes.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The minutes are approved. Okay, we can go ahead and move on to board business. Director Ruark?
Absolutely, thank you. So I usually, and I'm going to do that, I got to read this budget financial report into the record, so it's part of the record. It's a little lengthy, and gonna try to explain it to you here. This is the end of our first fiscal year for this biennium, which ends June 30th, 2026. And the board's financial situation has dramatically improved over the same period of the last biennium. Attached to the report, you'll see a detailed accounting of the board's finances. I'm going to explain that to you. So moving from left to right on this profit loss statement, the first column is a description of each line item of our income and expenses. The top portion being income and the bottom portion being expenses. The second column is the board's actual income and expenses from July 1, 2025 to June 30th, 2026. The third column is what the board budgeted for expenses and projected income. And the fourth column is the difference between what was budgeted and actual expenses. And I'll explain the last column, which just has a few numbers on it a little bit later. Let's start with the fourth column, which shows the difference between budgeted versus actual expenses. Any negative numbers are how much we either overspent on that line item or didn't make our funding goal for that line item. In the income section, you'll see that the initial licensure, application fee, and licensure fee items exceeded our funding projections. This means that we had more people become LMTs in Oregon than we projected. It's a good thing. Also of note is that we exceeded our income projection in the civil penalty line item. This is likely because of the legislation enacted to increase civil penalties. In the total income line item, you'll see that the board's total income was $144,920 more than projected as of June 30th, 2026. The second half of the report shows the board's total expenditures for the fiscal year. There are several things to note in this section. First, there's a line item that we usually don't have in this report, and that is entitled fraud loss. As previously reported to the board in March, the board's bank account was compromised and 5 fraudulent checks were presented for payment, totaling $33,100. The bank took immediate action, freezing our account and implementing fraud protocols. We ultimately closed that account and opened a new account with additional safety protocols. Both the Oregon State Police and the bank have been investigating, and thus far, we've been reimbursed a total of $20,761.47, leaving our loss right now at $12,338.53 as of June 30th. As the investigation continues, I'm confident the bank will reimburse the total loss by the end of the biennium. So every month, when I get the statement, they'll attach, after they're done with their investigation, they'll attach what they're going to reimburse the bank. And I really don't know until I get the statement at the end of the month. I'm going to move on to payroll expense line item. As you can see, this line item shows a large under expenditure. This is because we have not received a payroll invoice from DAS for June of 2026. If you look at the far right column, that number reflects an estimated under expenditure after June's payroll, the $14,219. So it's closer, and I just estimated what the payroll might be based on the past months. So we'll still have underspent payroll. Continuing, we underspent considerably in both investigation expenses and legal fees. This was partly because at one point we had a limited number of investigators available. However, it was also due to the compliance department being very frugal with the board's funds. Our investigators are doing a great job. We have some new investigators that we brought on, and we really scrutinize and make sure that they're giving everything that we expect from them. We also underspent on the computer expense line item. I believe this is because we switched to DAS IT services, which was a large investment up front, but as you can see, it's saving us money in the long term. We did overspend in a few line items, however, not substantially, but we did. The 2 largest line items of over expenditure were bank charges and rent. Bank charges were a result of having to switch to our new bank accounts and putting those safety protocols in. That was something that I couldn't have anticipated, and so we overspent. And the over expenditure in rent is, it appears it's 1 month's rent, so I think I put July's and June's when I did the QuickBooks. And I'll correct that before the next meeting. In the expense column, you see we underspent by the budget. We underspent the budgeted amount by approximately $141,796. However, as I mentioned previously, we have not paid June's payroll. So estimating the June payroll and removing that from the total, we underspent the budget by approximately $61,796. This means that our total income after expenses for the first year of the biennium is approximately $206,715. Compared to the same period last year, July 1 of 2024 to June 30th, 2025, where our total net income at that time was negative $26,629. So I'm happy to report that we're back on track financially. As of July 16, 2026, the board's bank balance was $495,681, which represents about 4 months of working capital. I know that's a lot, but I had to read it to get it in the record.
That was good. I got a question. On that 12,000 from the fraud thing, are we gonna be able to recover that? Or is it just a time thing with the investigation or?
Yeah, I think we will recover it before the end of the biennium. It looks like they're doing one a month, one investigation a month. Looks like they separated it out and they're doing one. So every month we get a little bit back.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
any other questions about the budget?
I just want to say it's amazing to have multiple months of capital in the bank. And I don't think we've said that since pre-pandemic. I mean, truly, so for those of you who are new, like, this is a huge turnaround. Not only do we have a full staff, we have our bank account where it's supposed to be. So congratulations to everybody who's been working so hard on this.
Because we have to have that buffer in case we have another COVID thing that was done.
Yeah, we had, I think, about 6 months of working capital previous to COVID, and we got down to 2 months. So it took about 4 months of working capital to get through COVID and all those expenses. So.
I'm very happy for all the work everybody's done to get us back where we need to be.
Any other questions? I'll move on, if that's okay, to staffing. So as the board is aware, our compliance and licensing manager, Jeff Van Lannen, will be retiring effective December 31st, 2026. At the September board meeting, I'll be presenting the board with a hiring timeline to fill Mr. Van Lannen's position. I will be asking the board to potentially overhire, which means that to bring somebody on a month or two before Mr. Van Lannen is set to leave. That way it gives a training period, so it's just not one person leaving, the other person coming in and us trying to train him. Hopefully it'll give us a seamless transition in the compliance department. I believe this will be necessary to allow the new person to learn directly from Mr. Van Lannen. So at that next meeting, the September meeting, the business meeting, I will be breaking down a couple of different options for the board. There'll be a couple of options, and the board can choose what they think is best, financially and for staffing. So I don't want to get too much into it, but it'll be broken down. It'll show you exactly as I can, how much that's going to cost without knowing what the pay increases are going to be and things like that. So I'm ramping that up, basically. Any questions about that? I apologize for my voice. For some reason, I got a little
hoarse today.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering, when do we find out, or what is the cycle for staff pay raises? I know that is all negotiated with the state, but when does that normally kick in our cycle?
Yeah, so it never really. So when they negotiate, the negotiations usually go past the time that we build the budget. So I've got a guess about what those pay increases are going to be. It's sometimes fairly consistent, but then sometimes, when the economy goes bad and inflation goes up, it ended up being sometimes more than I anticipated. So I've been trying to build a little buffer in there. So when I'm building the budget, I don't know. I learn after the budget. Sometimes quite a bit after the budget is built, and that's when we make adjustments. So when, it's usually, July 1st is the COLA, right? And, I'm trying to remember. They do the COLAs on July 1st. And then they do, step increases on their anniversary date if they're not topped out for step increases. And I usually, like I said, I don't learn about it until after the budget's built. And it's usually a couple months into the budget, I learn what that's going to be.
I was thinking that we did have that, I thought there was a 1 year where that COLA was delayed and really big and
Absolutely.
really affected things. So that's, I was just wondering when we go into the next business.
Well, there is going to be a little bit here, this payroll transition project they're doing right now. They're going to switch to bi-monthly, right? It's what's called every other 2 weeks, every 2 week paying for state employees. And to make it more palatable for state employees, they're going to be giving a one-time stipend to employees. And then they're going to be providing employees with 40 hours of vacation time as also a stipend that they can either cash out or take. So that's not really in our budget, but I will have to add it in the budget and adjust the budget before the end of the next biennium. So.
I think that's just important that we explain some of this stuff in public session, because when people wonder what we do with our money, don't realize we don't have any control over that.
Yeah.
Like that's done by the state. The only control we have is how we adjust to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's not something we can plan for exactly. We'd like. Hey, thank you.
Clarification, you said that one-time stipend, as well as the cash out, doesn't affect the agencies. That's actually coming from.
No, it's going to affect this agency. We'll have to pay it.
That's, okay. That was my question. I wasn't gonna ask it until we got closer, but,
Yeah,
okay.
The agency will have to pay that one-time stipend and then that 40 hours. Obviously, if people take it, it'll be less of a problem. If they cash it out, it'll be a little more of a problem. Especially if everybody cashes it out.
Right.
Then it'll be difficult.
And it's not supposed to be upfront. It's not supposed to count against the allowed hours that you can accrue for the
Correct.
state.
Yep.
So.
Did we explain what the COLA increase is for everybody?
Cost of living increase?
I don't know if we had said what that actually was for non-state. Cost of living.
Have they decided yet?
No, I think,
No.
okay. I don't have it in my calendar. And I don't
Yeah,
have
so
it,
I think they're still in negotiations with that, I believe. I'm sorry, I wasn't prepared to answer that, but I can get that information before the next meeting. But I know it, I don't think they've come to that. They might have tentatively approved a COLA. I don't think it's substantial like it had been last biennium.
That's what I remember.
Yeah, last biennium, we had anticipated 3% COLA, which is what at that time was 100% important CPI, which is usually what we go off of. And I think it was 6 and 6 or something like that.
6 and 6.5.
Yeah, so it was over 12% over 2 years, which I had budgeted in 6%. So.
Thank you. Well, ahead of our game on that. It's good. Okay. Anything else on staffing? Any questions before we turn it over to Mitch? Okay, I'll use.
Thanks, Chair. Initial licensure is steady with slight increase as recently most of the schools in the state have graduated their classes. Christian Bradley is currently working on a project to present to the board regarding online initial education. He plans to have that ready for the upcoming business meeting. Licensure will be working with the board subcommittees regarding new rules and other changes in months to come. Earlier in July, Christian received a really, really nice compliment. He just got another one the other day that I hadn't had a chance to plug in. It's like on Friday. But he's been getting some really nice feedback from people who were really appreciative. I believe one person stated that they had licenses in 4 states, and we were the easiest by far to get licensure, because one reason we answer the phone, if nothing else. So that's all going really nicely. Compliance has been really busy. We brought on investigator Mike Bell. He's completed his initial training and worked a couple of supervised cases that went very well. He's recently been assigned a couple new cases, and we're looking forward to working with him. On July 13th, Director Rourke, Compliance Manager Van Lannen, and I were invited by Kaiser PD to be part of a series of cases in Kaiser. You might have seen it on the news. 2 IMBs were served warrants, and a third was visited by the DOJ and Kaiser PD for a knock and talk. During serving the warrants, several individuals were taken into custody. The knock and talk ended with the arrest of an unlicensed practitioner / prostitution. There was cash, sexual aids, illegal Botox actually was found with syringes in one of the facilities. KPD is assisted by agents from the DOJ Organized Crime Task Force that we've been working with pretty closely, who on their own have conducted operations and shut down between 12 and 15 in the last couple of months. They are really doing work. In June, at the board's direction, Mr. Van Lannen posted placards on several IMBs in the Salem area. Approximately 10 days later, went to check on them, and all of them had shut their doors. Those facilities, one of those facilities applied for a facility permit, but it was either Thursday or Friday. We got notice for them that they're just shutting down. They're not going to try to apply for a facility permit because they basically know they're not going to get it. That was a really, really bad one that was listed on every sex site on the planet. So they're not going to proceed. City of Grisham has been active with their city ordinances to deal with the IMB problem. They've now run into a small situation where they're trying to use the reflexology loophole, not registering as a massage facility, but as reflexology. They're currently working to amend their ordinances, and they're well into it now. I think it's almost done. They just have to go and get it before the council to be voted on, which is going to loop reflexology and foot spas back into that ordinance. We've been working with an increasing number of law enforcement agencies. The trend seems to indicate more local law enforcement agencies are trying to deal with the IMB issue and reaching out to the board for information and assistance. So it's kind of where we've been here. We've been really busy.
Yeah, the placard, this is the first time that we've done that, and very successful. So I'm really encouraged by that. For those 4 or 5 businesses that just closed down versus, trying to stay open with a placard on there. And I think that was the purpose of it, right? Just to basically buyer beware and so it was very successful, and I'm, like I said, encouraged by it.
Some of them have interpreted that placard as we have shut them down, which we have not. They want to think that's, they could call us and check, but they just decided to shut the doors.
Out of curiosity, did any of them try to remove their placard or put something in front of it, or?
No, the last time I went by a couple of them, the placards are still there. And that's pretty much it.
That's outstanding. When it comes to compliance, I also just wanted to publicly acknowledge that the new investigators that came on, whose reports are starting to make their way into the system, are fantastic. I was completely impressed by the work they did, especially in their first round of investigations. Please pass on. But they were easy to read. They were everything I wanted was there. I was just beyond.
They're working really, really well.
Yeah. So
we got really lucky with all the people we picked.
Well, and also I think whatever metrics you were using in the hiring process, really hit it out of the park with this group of investigators. So please pass that on. Okay, we'll go to the 2027 board meeting dates proposal.
Yes. Kathy, you want to facilitate that, because I know that you're the one that writes them up and gets them on the website. So
I will be delighted.
Thank you, thank you.
So the meeting, board meeting day proposal, we have a calendar, but I think I printed out the wrong year. So we will look through together. If you give me a minute, we will come back. Let's come back to that one, if that's okay. And, yes, let me put it up open. 1 minute.
Does everybody have access to a calendar, or do we need to get a calendar for you?
We can all pull up a calendar.
Okay, we can pull up the calendars.
The audio is really echoey when Ikaite is speaking, and I can't understand her words.
Okay, well, and that's because her computer is, we're still trying to get it replaced by DAS IT. And, but I can facilitate this if it's better.
Yeah, I can hear you fine, Bob. Thank you.
So we're looking at, everybody get their calendars out. We're looking at trying to set up our board meeting dates for next year. And we can just start, you ready?
Yes.
Yes.
So what we will do is we will go through the calendars you have, not that one. Is that 2027?
No, I know. I was just trying to remember when our last meeting is of 2026.
Got it. Okay. I will put that up there.
November 9th. Thank you, November 9th.
Okay. So November 9th is our last one this year, so we gotta look at one for January.
And the 1st and the 18th is a holiday in January
Yes.
for state employees.
Yes. Bob, I'm gonna send this real quick to you and we can put it up there.
Okay.
The 22nd is the only date that works for me in January.
A Friday?
A Friday?
Let me look at that again.
Look at 27.
February 2027, the 22nd is a Monday on my calendar.
Well, we need January.
January.
Oh, sorry.
I think the 11th.
January 25th is the only one that works for me. Or the 4th.
Or stuff just coming after the
I
holidays.
think the 4th, we might have people who are still out
On
and on leave, so I think the 25th would then be our
Which isn't a bad
chance.
day anyway, we usually shoot them towards the end.
Yeah, that's true.
So are we good with the 25th?
I think that's probably your best bet.
Okay,
This year it was the 26th, so it was the last Monday this year.
Mhm.
So that
Perfect.
works.
okay.
One down.
March.
Kathy?
Are there any state?
No holidays in March, no state holidays in March.
There's Easter on the 29th, though.
In March?
Mm-hmm.
That's a Monday.
Well, it's the.
That weekend.
Yeah.
22nd? March 22nd?
Yeah, does anybody have any conflicts in March?
It's spring break.
Oh, that date works for me.
Oh, hold on 1 second, Carol.
I'm looking at Angie's calendar and it's spring break in the school systems.
What?
So.
Does that cause a problem here?
My cats are always on vacation.
Yeah, let me double check.
Yeah.
Spring break.
Let me
I
double
could do
check.
the 15th also.
Is there an issue with the 29th? Like, no, it's Easter?
29th is fine for me too.
It'll be a little slower for us because we don't have the state holidays on our calendar. That's okay. We just need to make sure we're.
What about the 15th?
Literally any day.
Anybody have any conflicts with the 15th?
No, I'm fine on the 15th.
Let's try that then.
The May holiday is the 31st on a Monday.
Okay. Could we look toward maybe the 17th to the 24th? Just so we're spacing it pretty evenly. Any conflicts with either of those days?
Well, when's Memorial Day?
The
The
31st.
31st.
The only Monday in May that I can do would be the 24th.
Okay, is everybody okay with the 24th?
That's good. That would be consistent with kind of doing it at the end of the month.
Yeah.
So we're not
Trying to get it
bunching them
spaced
up,
out.
yeah.
Yeah, those quick turnarounds.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we're looking July, whole year from now.
July 5th, a Monday, is the state holiday.
That's, yeah, it would be too early, so I think we should look at either the 19th or 26th.
I'm unavailable the 26th.
19th?
19th works for me, 26th I'm teaching.
Okay. That would be amazing.
So
19th.
19th of July,
July 19th.
okay? And then we're looking at our
Travel.
traveling meeting.
September.
And we also need to take a look at when FSMTV is gonna be coming up, so we don't, because it'll be in the fall.
It'll be
It's in
October.
October, I believe.
Yeah.
Usually.
Yeah, but I just don't wanna bump travel too close.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
So,
Keeping close would be almost the same date as this year, 23rd, 24th, 25, or 24th, 25, I guess.
Anybody have any issues with 24th, 25th of September?
Well, I do, but I'm busy every other Friday in September, so I'll just have to figure something out.
So 24th, 25th works?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then November, there's 2 holidays, well, none that fall on Mondays, but the 11th.
Yeah, 11th and 25th, 26th.
So the 15th would be right in between.
Yeah.
Before Thanksgiving, so that's enough.
is everybody okay with November 15th, 2027?
Yeah, that works for me.
Got it.
Fantastic. Go team. Do we, I recall, do we need to vote on this, or do we have you go back and like print out the calendar and then vote on it?
No, we can vote on it.
We don't need to vote on dates?
Oh, we can.
We can now.
Well, yes, yeah, the calendar can always update.
Okay, can I get a motion to accept the dates for the 2027 meetings as stated?
Move to approve the 2027 board meeting dates.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Perfect. Okay, then we can go ahead and move on to our all schools update.
Yeah, it's just a quick update. We settled on a date for the all schools meeting of August 5th. I got it right. I was looking at her to make eye contact, make sure I got it right. August 5th for our all schools meeting. And looks like we got some good response, so I think it'll be a good meeting. And that's really all I have for you. Regarding, I just wanted to give you the date, so the board was aware of it.
Okay, then next item is going to be our traveling meeting update.
So the traveling board meeting this year will be at East West College in Portland. And we have confirmation from them that they're able to accommodate us at the school. Last time we had a meeting in Portland that I'm aware of, I've been here for a while, was 2013 or 14. So it's been a while since we've been there, and the majority of our LMPs in the state work out of Portland. So I think it'll be very good for us to, the board to be there. And last time we were there, we had quite a bit of attendance also. I'm not sure how that's going to work now after COVID, but we had a lot of people. We had students and business people show up and were engaging, and it was a good discussion at that time. So looking forward to it.
Excellent. So the East West only has the one site, right, at this point, one building. That's outstanding. And then beyond that, any travel plans and stuff, we'll just be watching our email for updates about hotel and all of that.
Yep.
Okay. Who here is, anyone this is gonna be their first business meeting, or has everybody been to one so far? This is your first?
Yeah. You're in for a good time.
Excellent.
What's the name of the location again?
East West.
College. The Healing Lodge, the Healing Arms.
Yeah,
East West College.
they have a good website, it'll pop up.
What part of Portland is it?
By PSU, close to PSU. You can use that as a.
On Fifth and Clay. Fifth and Clay.
Thank you.
Did you work there? I did, is that the one? Okay, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Easy for you.
Yeah. All right. Outstanding. Okay, then we can move into our action plan item.
Yeah, so we have made wonderful progress on our board action plan. It's a 5-year plan. So next business meeting, we're going to have to rebuild, not this one coming up, but the one afterwards. We will have the facilitator in to do our 5-year plan. Well, however many year plan you want to do moving forward. At this business meeting coming up in September, we're going to really dissect that plan and spend a lot of time on it. Like I said, there are several items that we have crossed off the list. In fact, I've been reviewing it just about every day. And the board and board staff have accomplished a lot of what you wanted to accomplish in 5 years. Really impressed. I mean, I've done a lot of these action plans. I've been a manager for about 30 years, and I've been involved in building a lot of these action plans. And oftentimes, some of these are very difficult to accomplish. And the board has done an outstanding job. When we did the action plan last time, we wanted to have goals that the board could actually accomplish versus kind of pie in the sky stuff, And I think the board did a wonderful job building that plan. And like I said, I'm just impressed in how well the board has done to achieve those goals. And I think you will be too. So I just wanted to give you an update, a little primer that I'm going to say we've completed probably 75% of the board action plan. So.
That's excellent.
Yeah, so I will give you, in fact, I'm going to do a PowerPoint presentation. I was going to give you a little bit more information at this meeting, but I want to do a PowerPoint presentation so I can break it down and give you examples of what the board has accomplished and what board staff has accomplished on behalf of the board. So I wanted to do that at the business meeting so I could stand up and have it on the screen and everybody could see it, including, students or staff or anybody that shows up at the meeting.
So then it will be the 2027 meeting where we have to go back and do a facilitated process?
Yes.
Excellent. Any questions about that? Looking forward to seeing what we've accomplished. Then we're on to our new business proposal. So are there any, is there anything board members would like to make sure is included in our business meeting or upcoming meetings? Anyone would like to go forward at this time? Okay. We can go ahead and move on to public comments and correspondence. I saw that we did get one letter in this morning. I did not have time to look at that, so Just like to take a second and let everybody read the correspondence that came in.
We'll put it up on the screen too.
Okay, has everyone had a chance to look at it? Bob, did you want to say anything about the
Let me pull it
history
up.
of this?
Let me get in there, I'm gonna pull it up so I can see it.
This is something that comes up probably 6 times a year. Truly, so, yeah, I mean, if you want to give a little context to that.
I'm running the meeting from this computer too, so I gotta close all that out. Here we go. Okay. So the board, I'm gonna say 10 years ago, decided that they wanted to try to have what they call an emeritus status.
I think your audio and video is dying on your end. Oh, I think you're back now. The board had what we called.
Yeah, I was talking. Hold on one sec, Carol. I wasn't quite finished yet. So the board wanted to do an emeritus status. It was a suggestion that they had. And the board really reviewed that. Like I said, it went to committee and they made a proposal, a CEU proposal, to reduce CEs across the board to the statutory required 12 hours. And there was an extreme amount of pushback on that. In fact, so much so that the board dropped it and decided to keep it as it was. So there's been a lot of work done on this and it comes up quite often. And it hasn't, the board hasn't figured out a way to do it fairly. You know, when do you stop having to get 25 CEs? Is it 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years? They just didn't really come up with a way to be able to dissect that and be fair to everybody. And and I know Carol was on some of the committees and things like that and has a perspective on that. So go ahead, Carol.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we just never could reach agreement about what it should be or how to do it or whether we wanted to do it. So, you know, in the end, we've always left it the way it was. So that's my historical knowledge.
Me too. That's how I remember it. And you know, this came up because we had a 30-year LMT that wanted to stay in business, maybe do a couple massages, you know, or a massage a week or a month, and just kind of stay in the business, stay licensed. But he was finding it difficult to get all these CEs because he's retired. But he wanted to stay in the business because he had a couple of clients that he really felt like he could still help. And the board really went through this. Like I said, they sent it to committee. They discussed it at every board meeting for, you know, a year, and really just had a difficult time coming up with a fair and equitable way to be able to do it. So.
It sounds like the grounds crew is about to start working, so just so you know, Carol, the sound's gonna get bad. If it's too bad, give us a wave.
I'll let you know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If there's nothing else about the correspondence, I will go ahead and move on to public comment. Public comments are limited to matters on the public agenda or otherwise relevant to matters that may come up before this agency. Comments will not be allowed that are longer than the allotted time by the chair or are disruptive to the agency's conduct of its business. Any member of the public who would like to address the board, please turn your camera on. When called upon by the chair, please turn your microphone on and state your name and license number or association for the record. Please keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. Okay, let's go ahead and Bob, can you take care of calling?
So we have two people that came on after the introductions. I think Phyllis came on after it, and so did, hopefully I get your name right, Shanika. They both came on after. So you want them to introduce themselves?
Yes, let's start with that, and then Bob, can you call on people because you can see?
Yeah, Phyllis, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you. Phyllis Nesta, 27699, massage therapist in Sherwood, Oregon.
And then we have.
Okay.
Do you want to introduce yourself, Shanika? I hope I got your name right.
You did. You did. It's Shanika Kaufman, 28069. I'm a massage therapist out of Gresham, Oregon, and I run my own practice called All Manual Therapy.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, so at this point, if you'd like to speak publicly, turn your camera on, and if you didn't have any public comments, shut your camera off. Your camera and microphone off. Okay. Bob, I'll let you.
Okay, Phyllis, did you have a public comment?
Well, I'd like to say that I was absolutely amazed to hear you speak just before about the history of the board discussing the amount of continuing ed hours and whether to reduce them. I'm in the same situation as that gentleman you described. I'm basically retired, but I still love to do a couple of massages a month. So I guess I'm wondering, is the board at all interested in revisiting that? Because I would work on it. The other issue is that I haven't done the hard research on this yet, but if you compare 25 hours, like I believe estheticians, for example, don't need any continuing ed hours. Other licenses might need, less proportionally to the education that they have to receive. And so I think it would be something to consider. Plus, I think the idea of at least making all the CEs are allowed to be gotten online and not necessarily live unsupervised, because that's difficult and it can be burdensome. So I would like to see that. I put in a proposal about that a while back, and I'd like to see at least that considered. I know in my other licensed professional counselor, all 40 hours are allowed to be submitted from online classes that I take at 3 in the morning or whenever I want, and it's great. And so I really would like to see the board at least revisit that, if not reducing the number of hours.
Okay, thank you very much.
I would say that the board, so the list of things we have for committees, one of those things is CEs, and the topics and things like that. So if the board would like, while they're going over the CEs, the committee to look at that as part of their process, then we can certainly add that to the agenda for that. So yeah, I know it's already being looked at.
Well, I mean, while we have a committee active, I think we ought to go ahead and roll it in. We haven't discussed it in it hasn't gone to committee in at least 4 years.
Yeah.
So I think it would be an appropriate time.
So do we need a motion for that?
Yes.
Is that what you were asking? Okay.
It's addition.
Okay. Well,
Yes.
Which topic?
So, the committee member Phyllis and Carol Gray, we had a committee meeting 2 weeks ago?
Yes.
Sometime in the past. And there was a topic that the board had assigned to the committee. However, the committee did need a little bit more clarification in terms of what the board intends or was trying to get them to get at. And it had to do with Carol. What was it?
Wait, just one second, Kathy. Could this be something, because we're in public comments, could we just say, loop back around and go into new business and add this to the
Yes.
meeting agenda? Okay, let's go ahead and do that. Just for agenda. Thank you, Phyllis. We'll loop back around to this. I want to get to the next person who had a public comment.
Thank you.
Okay, Shanika, did you have a public comment?
I did. I just kind of wanted to share my experience that I've had through the city of Gresham. When I opened up my practice, it was very shortly after getting out of school. I had worked with a chiropractor for quite a long time as a chiropractic assistant, and they just couldn't meet my schedule with my kids. And so I went into my own practice. Before I found a facility that met kind of my own personal criteria, I opened up a home ordinance, which was outstandishly expensive. It was like $1,800. I had to put signs in front of my home and share like the layout of my house. It was pretty invasive for a home occupancy. I've had licenses with different boards. With the Board of Education, with the Board of Nursing, I had different careers before going into massage. And I've never, even when I ran my preschool out of the extended part of my house, I never had to share with the public my floor plan. It was very, I thought, a bit invasive. I know people could look up floor plans, but anyway, I found a wonderful place at the Mount Hood Professional Plaza. Dr. Rockhav, a urologist, took me in and let me rent space from the floor, the level that he owned. And it's very professional. It's I have ortho downstairs. I have PT next to me. It's a very medical environment. Well, with the new ordinances passing with the city, trying to stop human trafficking, it has been very kind of insulting as a practitioner. And also, I think going a little into different avenues in many ways. And the way it's affected me personally was I was the first person to be inspected in the city of Gresham with these new ordinances. Those ordinances are available online. I know Danica has access to them. I do think it does discriminate against some Eastern practitioners. I'll get into that a little bit, but I got very little notice. I got like a week's notice with a threatening letter. Mind you, I was the first person to be inspected in the commercial building. And then when I spoke to the city, just clarifying about all of my licenses that I had through the city with both my home occupancy and my professional building, they said, well, if you have your commercial space, you don't have to pay for your home ordinance if you don't want it. Well, I took that as it is because I don't want it. I'm not practicing out of my home. I did it just so that
I'm just gonna have to interrupt you. I apologize. We do have to stick with our time parameters.
Okay.
I think we can address this with what we have. I think we can kind of explain how the board is involved. Bob, do you wanna?
Yeah, I really appreciate the input because, I'll give you a little bit of history about our involvement with Gresham, and then I'm gonna invite you to give me a call and we'll talk a little bit more about it so I can get the full story for you because we have limited time in public session. We've got to give equal time to everybody. But so Gresham wanted to do a city ordinance to try to combat human trafficking, as you know. And they went without talking to us, built their own ordinance that was really restrictive. AMTA and a couple other organizations kind of got up in arms about it and went to some of their meetings, trying to get them to back off on some of the things that they were doing, like limiting hours and clothing and things like that. And we kind of understood, they kind of understood why they were doing that, but it did become, difficult for licensed practitioners to continue to operate. And that wasn't the intention. That wasn't it wasn't our intention to provide them any guidance to that. So long story short, they never reached out to us to say, what's the perspective of licensed massage therapists and how can we not prevent them from working or make it prohibitive for them to have their own business? Sort of after the fact, in fact, we learned about it when they were going to vote on it. And since then, they haven't really reached out to us either regarding some of that, so.
I do know they check with us.
After the fact.
Yes, they check with us when people apply to verify that they're licensed. We've gotten quite a few of those. They used to have it so that they had to do quite a bit more, even if they were licensed, to get approval, such as requiring a facility permit, whether you were licensed as an LMT or not.
Yeah.
They've backed off that. They've come to realize that if they are an LMT, they don't have to have a facility permit as well. That took several emails back and forth with the people there, and they're on that now.
Yeah.
So it's not as problematic as it was initially.
So we were kind of between a rock and a hard place because the board wants to support our licensees. And we can go to meetings like that and answer questions, but we can't really provide testimony because we can't lobby for things. So we sort of encouraged AMTA and some of the trade organizations to be involved in those. And I know AMTA went to those meetings and worked with the city of Gresham to try to get them to back off on some of the things that they were proposing. That just gives you a little bit of history about it. And you and I can talk more about it so I can get more of a perspective about what's going on with you. So maybe I can help you and other LMTs within the community as much as we possibly can.
Yeah, thank you. I know sometimes we can't give you the full answer you want in board meetings, but that's the limitation of what the meetings are allowed to be. But please do follow up with Director Ruark, and hopefully we can get you the information you need. And thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. Can I say one quick thing?
Yes.
Okay. With my home occupancy, they put a huge, they sent me a huge letter, an enforcement letter, that they were shutting my home occupancy down due to non-compliance, which with everything going on, I didn't want my business, which I'm contracted with different insurances, it's very medical. I did not want to come across to the public as a prostitute just because they gave me a week's notice. So, and the day that they told me to call, the person who sent me the letter was not in town because it was July 5th and she was gone, or July something. She was gone for the holiday. So I just also want you guys to know that's going on, because I don't want good therapists getting shut down with that stigma. So that's it.
Well, I appreciate that. And I think we can answer from the board perspective that anything like that happens is coming through the city. Like, that is not in line with what the board process would be. It doesn't help you, unfortunately, in this moment. But what they're doing, it's not a bi-directional communication. There's nothing coming to us that puts you in a problematic status. And I'm sorry you're having these frustrations. And hopefully Director Ruark can help walk you through some of the stuff that sounds terribly frustrating. I'm sorry. Are there any other public comments?
I don't see anybody else.
Thank you for sharing, ladies.
Okay, if we want to go ahead and come back to adding some additional direction to our rules committee, do we need to now amend the agenda? Okay. Can I get a motion to amend the agenda?
I move for a motion to amend.
Hold on a second. Just say that, to amend the agenda to reopen our new business proposals. Just, you can just say so moved.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we'll loop back around to new business, and what I'm hearing here is that we need to revisit clarify some instructions of what we want the rules committee to do, including this, the CE emeritus status. Akaite, I cut you off when you were saying what, did you want to share anything else about what happened at that meeting?
Yeah, I'll let Carol jump in.
Carol, could you fill us in on what else needed to be discussed in rules?
Yeah, I don't know what Akaite said because when she speaks, her microphone garbles her voice on this end. And Phyllis is nodding, yes, that's true.
Okay. There was a topic, there was a topic at the last CE or at the last committee meeting that you guys want a clarification on something?
Yeah, the zombie licenses. What my notes say that the committee would like some guidance from the board about the actual scope of the problem, like, what does it look like on the, in the trenches for staff? How many, licenses or former licenses are we talking about? We also, the committee said that they also think that that we should be somehow effectively getting some information out to licensees about how to avoid zombie status. It might be better to have a different name for it, frankly, too, because if we really clarified what it is, like what is the difference between zombie license and an inactive license? Licensees need to know that. And frankly, committee members were confused about it also. So that's what I came away with in terms of the committee needing guidance for that. And then there was the other issue that was discussed, which was dual relationships. And my takeaway from that discussion on the committee, and Phyllis is here too to talk about this, is the committee, I think the consensus was that what we've got is pretty good, and that they were inclined to leave it as is unless the board has some particular specific intent about length of time between a professional relationship or a therapeutic relationship, I guess I would say, and a dating or sexual relationship, something like that. Take it away, Phyllis, if you've got something.
Well, on that point, I think.
Hold on one second.
Time out, I can't have Phyllis take it away because we're not in a public comment or we're not in a committee update either. So sorry, Phyllis.
Okay, that's fine.
I can say something about the dual relationships. The board directed the committee to study that and see if something needed to be changed regarding that based on, is it consistent with other boards? Is what we have good? Do we need to change it? So it was more of a, take a look at it. And if it looks really good where it's at, that would be a recommendation back to the board. If something needs to change because it's inconsistent with other boards or it's inconsistent with the industry standard, then propose some language to change it and make it more consistent. So that was really the direction that the board was going. This came about because somebody wrote a letter to the board. There was a couple people that wrote a letter to the board saying that they thought that it was a dual relationship was confusing and sort of didn't really explain the situation to them enough where they understood what it was about. And so that's why the board said, well, let's look at it while we're in committee. And it may be something as easy as we've looked at it. We recommend the board stay where it's at. Or we looked at it and we think we're way off base here and maybe the board should look at this. So I think that's the direction that was given. So.
Yeah, one of the things that was discussed is that, you know, there are different kinds of dual relationships. For example, if you live in a really small town, you may very well be a massage therapist to your child's first grade teacher, or, you know, or have a variety of relationships, including that therapeutic relationship and those kinds of things. I didn't think the committee really wanted to dive into and describe or regulate, I guess. We did talk about Washington, and they've got a certain number of months, I think, that people like the cooling off period. But my sense was that the committee felt that those length of time between the massage/client relationship and the initiation of a dating or sexual relationship it's unenforceable. And it didn't make sense to you know, put particular numbers to it, and that in general, that just like, don't do it, which is what we have.
Gotcha.
So at this point, what we need to do is have, just at the next meeting, we can either give staff direction to ask the committee to look at this, or do we need to say, put this on the table list for the next meeting?
So actually, Carol is your board liaison for the committee, and she's asked a question about clarification. I think you answered that question, so I think she can go back to the committee and say, I got clarification at the board meeting. Does that sound right? Yes. Or is that not right?
No, that's fine.
And then we can just, let staff or Carol communicate that we would like to revisit the emeritus license.
Well, no, that's a different topic.
That was the whole.
I was talking about the dual relationship.
Okay, the whole point of like the agenda change and coming back into this was specifically about that.
Gotcha.
So I need to make sure I want that addressed.
I think you do need to vote on that.
Right. So that's where we need to, let's do what we voted into.
Yes. So the other piece is the clarification for the expired license. Carol, it is called expired license. The word zombie is internal usage only. So it's for licenses that are expired. But please translate.
Yeah. So, the proper term is expired licenses. I know that the term zombie license came up, but that's something that internally it has been used in the past, and something we're not going to be using moving forward. So I apologize for that. What I would like to do, I know you're asking for clarification on that. What I would like to do is have our staff member who handles those write, a letter or an informational letter to the committee explaining that process and why it needs to be looked at. We presented that information to the board the last business meeting, and the board decided to move it into committee. And so I think explaining what the problem is and how it might be a little bit, against what the board wants to do. So that's what I think we should do, is have the individual, Rowena, write something up to explain to the committee what that issue is, and that way the committee can have that information. So
I think that sounds good. One of the things that was mentioned in the discussion with the committee was that it seemed particularly onerous for somebody whose license expires for some period of time, maybe they move away or whatever, and they having to either reapply or make up all of the continuing ed that they would have had to complete had their license been active or even inactive, seemed kind of onerous under the circumstances.
Absolutely. And this is my, I never liked this rule. And it's something that I wanted the board to look at, because I agree with you. I agree with the committee. And I think it definitely needs to be looked at. So, and we'll get you some information.
It would be really, really awesome to have Rowena kind of write that memo for the committee and kind of to really clearly explain the scope of the problem and the kinds of things that she's heard from licensees or former licensees, and to try to make this a more equitable process and maybe fewer headaches for staff as well.
Yep, absolutely. We'll get that done for you. So that's all your clarification stuff with your committee liaison, right? Okay.
Yeah, and so just to recap, so we're going to bring into the committee then a look at the emeritus status again to see if there is some possibility of a mechanism for someone who's been licensed for X number of years, that number unknown at this point, to have reduced requirements for continuing ed. Did I get that right from the rest of the board?
If a motion is made and the board votes to send that to committee, then.
Well, that's why I was thinking, could we do that, like, is this a conversation we want to have as to what parameters and direction we might want to give them? Could we put this on as an agenda item for our board meeting so we can discuss it and give them some container to work within and direction from that meeting?
We could put it on the next agenda and that way.
That's what I'm saying. As a new business item, that's what I was thinking. Let's decide if we want to put that into the next meeting, have a conversation, and then give direction to the committee. So they're not rehashing this very nebulous topic. I think if we can bring them some container to work within, it would be a good idea. So
yeah, thanks, Beckett. I agree. I think so. I'm going to cross that off my list and then wait until we discuss it as a board and try to figure out what direction we really want to go.
So that's just a new business item. We don't need any voting on anything.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
No, because it'll just go into our next.
It'll go on the next agenda.
Perfect. Okay. So let's catch up to where we are. Okay, at this point, I know it's been a very long time without a break. I'm going to read us into executive session. After that, we will go over there. I have to read us in with my little script, and then we will all take a break. So nobody run away until that's all done, okay? The Oregon Board of Massage Therapists will now meet in executive session pursuant to ORS 192660 to discuss certain matters on the agenda pursuant to ORS 192660 2F to consider information or records that are exempt by law from public inspection. ORS 192501 sub 4 to review, discuss, and consider written legal advice provided by the Department of Justice pursuant to ORS 192660 2F, or to consult with counsel concerning legal rights and duties regarding current litigation or litigation likely to be filed pursuant to ORS 192660 2H. To consider and discuss in executive session information obtained as part of an investigation of a licensee, applicant, or other person alleged to be practicing in violation of law pursuant to ORS 192660 2AA and ORS 676175. To review and evaluate the job performance of a chief executive officer, other officers, employees, and staff if the person whose performance is being reviewed does not request an open hearing pursuant to ORS 192660 2I. No decision may be made in executive session. At the end of the executive session, the board will return to the open session and welcome the audience back in the room. ORS 687081 sub 5, prior to imposing a sanction under ORS 687081 or any rule of the board shall consider but not limited to considering the following factors. The person's past history of observing the provisions of ORS 687011 to 687250, 687895, and 687991, and the rules of the board. The effect of the violation on public safety and welfare, the degree to which the action subject to sanction violates professional ethics and standards of practice, and the economic and financial condition of the person subject to sanction, and any mitigating factors that the board may choose to consider. I estimate that we will return to public session at, let's say, let's see, 12:15 with a break. 12. Say noon? Okay, estimate that we'll return to public session at noon. Representatives of the news media and designated staff will be allowed to attend executive session. All other members of the audience are asked to leave now. If attending virtually, we will be back, you can return back to the session at noon. Okay, Kai, can you please stop recording, and Carol will see you over in executive session.